everyone. This is our special guest.
I'm not moving. Okay, go ahead.
It might just be the background. You may or may not have to change the background if you keep blending in the back. But everyone, ladies and gentlemen, this is my lovely mother, Dawn, aka Mark's woman, his tenderoni, his insert whatever name he got from my. I don't want to hear it because I got baby ears. But this is my mother, Dawn, and she will be joining us for the marriage section. I thought that it would be appropriate to have a married couple who's been married for 28 years to speak on these. So these questions, I'll bounce them off to both of you, and you guys can, tag team these questions because I want to get a woman's perspective as well as a man's perspective, especially, and I think it would be great for the listeners to hear both sides because we have male and female listeners. So I think this would be a treat for them. But I'll give this question to Dad first, and then I'll ask you, Mom. When did you know you wanted to marry Mom? Sorry, guys. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but we got it all figured out. So I'm going to ask the question again so that we can all hear the response. When did you know you wanted to marry Mom?
We went to the movies one day and saw a movie called Single White Female. And it's between paydays, and we had very little money. It's a $1 movie, and we were going back and forth buying popcorn, and we couldn't even afford drinks. We were going out and getting sips of water. And so I said, I'm really enjoying this person, and we don't really have anything. If I can enjoy this person with very little, I know I can enjoy it when we get married and have something. So I knew right then she had potential right then and there. I always tell people that if I was to take out physical sex out of the equation, would you still want to be with this person? And the question for me was yes. I enjoyed the conversation with her, even if there was that physical intimacy. I still enjoy her company. Today I enjoy her company, talking to her or watching, or just we talk all the time, a cup of coffee. So I knew then that was potential.
All right, ladies, y'all heard that the $1 movies is not a bad date. Y'all hear that? That's 28 years of marriage right there. And they started off with just popcorn, not even Twizzlers, y'all. Not even So, Mom, when did you know you were ready to marry Dad?
It was our conversation. Like he said, he was not talking about, girl, man, me and you need to hook up. And you all of that. And then, oh yeah. It wasn't even about that. We actually had conversations that were, with a lot of intellect. We talked about, I remember that one time, and it was late in the night, and I was just like, oh my God, we were talking about astrology. I'll never forget that. We were talking about songs that we liked, and we found out that we had a lot in common in terms of songs and song artists. I think it was Prince, of course.
I knew it. I didn't even have to ask. Prince, I know.
And and that's when I was just like, oh wow, this cat is all right. I said, this might be someone that I think I could make a life with.
How soon though did you know? Like, was it after 3 days?
It was. Let me see. We met in '92 at on February 8th.
Christmas, yeah, Christmas.
Yep, Christopher's birthday. That's when my 2 men came in my life. I met him on February 8th, '92. Christopher was born, of course, February 8th, '98. It was at a Valentine's party that a couple of our friends had invited us to. We didn't even know each other. It was like a blind date, if you will. And after that, let's see, that was in February. We dated for about, because I feel like I remember it was like 4 months.
Oh, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, because it was like, I want to say April, but it wasn't, because I think it was about 4 months afterwards that I was just like, Let's see, I wonder if he gonna say something. And he did.
So about 4 or 5 months, you guys knew?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, wow. Okay.
it sure was. Never
Pretty soon. So I would say
rather, very soon.
Mhm.
But because usually you want to get your dating in for a few months or maybe a few years.
Mhm.
But no, it was just a few months after we met.
Okay. So Dad, would you say men kind of know right away when they're ready to propose?
No, not right away. I know some people say I knew it was a mirror when I first laid eyes on her. Every circumstance is different. I think the conversations that we have with this, we're just one of the conversations. Like
Mhm.
and then some we got in time. We both plant kids. Both our fathers work with General Motors, and so a lot of things in common. Even though she's from Detroit, and I'm from Pontiac, there are so many things that are just very similar. Just like my mother has 3 daughters and 1 son. Daisy has 3 daughters.
Mhm.
And so it was just something. It was really the conversation. And like I said, I was accepting her. She's gonna go get a job in Nashville, Tennessee. It was just the conversations I just knew, and getting to know her family. When you go on a date, you just get. I now was I dating her. I got a chance to know her family,
Mhm.
and she had no mind too. Very wonderful at that point. That like I said, that's us, and then it be everybody else.
Mhm.
Yeah, but we did. We had a lot in common.
Mhm.
We after talking, we really found out that we had a lot in common.
Okay. So like you said, every marriage is different and everybody's different, but how do you guys make your marriage work? Maybe something that you guys do may help someone in their marriage or may help someone when they become married. So how do you make your marriage work? And you guys can both answer that question.
I think it's mutual respect. I respect him, and I I like him for his flaws and his flatter.
Mm.
And when you can love someone with their flaws and their flatter, and they like you for the same, the respect comes with that. Because when you love both of those, then the respect comes behind it. Because I don't find myself, I don't criticize him because I respect him. I I don't try to find reasons to ridicule all the time. I think that that helps. You don't want to always jump in on somebody every time they do one little thing, which is why I always told you all, make a list, find out what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate. If you know that you don't like a particular aspect of a person, you don't need to be bothered with that, because guess who's going to be unhappy at the end of the day?
Mhm.
It's going to be you every single time. But I do believe in compromise.
Mhm.
If it's something like, I don't know, not not closing the refrigerator door when you're done, you know, just you like, can I deal with that? I mean, or not. Can I just talk to him about it and just say, oh, honey, can you make sure you close the door when you're done taking the, I don't know, the soda out or whatever? Communication. Communication is key. Talk to one another. Find out, you know what? Your father has always said, um, I'm not trying to understand all women. I just want to understand the one that I'm with, or the one that I want to be with. If he knows that there are some things that irritates me, he'll try to avoid from doing it. I mean, it's not going to hurt him. And I the same. I will do the same thing. It's just like when he's watching his football on Sundays, you know,
Mm.
try to try to keep you from saying it's always Sunday.
It's always Sunday.
It is
I,
something.
but right. So I will go somewhere and I'll do something maybe I'll prepare maybe his favorite snack. It's not being submissive, it's being kind.
Mhm.
People need to make sure that they understand, be kind, just be kind. And we are kind to one another. And I think that's what helps. Now, that's just me.
From me, it's called acceptance, and that's the main important thing. I accept the worst word in a marriage is "but." I love you, but never use the big BT word. I accept Dawn for who she is, and being submissive does not mean that Dawn going to make me a sandwich. I'm the man. Do is what I say.
Mm.
I give you an example of your mother and Victoria were coming home Monday from your trip to Long Beach, California, and she called and I said, "Well, I just I'm not a there are a few things I can cook, so I made sure before I went to work, I made sure that I made tacos and nachos for her. I said, well, you guys have been on a trip from California. I did it not because she's gonna get mad at me, happy laugh, happy wife. I did it because I wanted to, because I believe I always tell people whether you think I'm whipped or a simp, I honestly believe that she would do it for me. When I'm working my two jobs, I work 70 hours a day. I said, you know what? I really believe that if I had illness or MS or something, I really believe that she would do it for me and not degrade me. And that's just me. And I did those things because I want to do it. Same with you guys being a kid. I do it because I want to do it, not because I have to, because I want to do it. I'm
Mm.
never going to say I love you, but I accept you, when you're lovable and you're not so lovable. I don't think there's nothing wrong with it because I always told you guys, no one is ugly and everybody is in the image of what God wants them to be. So that makes me a simp to those guys out there. I'm proud of it.
I hope all men listen to that section right here because they need to do better.
I'm in my truth. And so if everybody's
Yeah.
gonna be in their truth, I can be in mine. So.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah, it works for us. It does. It works
Yeah.
for us.
But I think, it works for you guys, but I think universal wise, I think respect should be in every relationship. So yeah, I agree that, everybody operates in a different way. But if you don't respect someone, you don't value what they say, you don't value the things that they may necessarily value. I feel like I said, I've never been married, so I'm not speaking from a marriage standpoint. I'm just speaking as relationship wise. If you don't respect one another, mouths can get real disrespectful, both sides. Like I can be disrespectful sometimes, and I've had men that were disrespectful, and when we don't respect each other, we're quick to say things that we can't take back or we can't come back from. So that's why I think respect should be a universal thing for all marriages. Mm. So I know, Dad, you kind of already mentioned it in the previous sections, but I want to ask again, do you think marriage is taken seriously anymore? Yes and no. And then Mom, you can jump in as well. So I would guess this would be like my generation now are the ones getting married. And even I think the generation under us is probably getting married too.
I don't think they take it serious because it's so easy to get out. But the first sign of trouble, people leave. And like I said, 50% of marriages, of all marriages, and divorce. And I just think that people are just so easy to give up, and you got Tinder and all kind of dating apps. So I think it's so easy. You got the family courts with child support and things like that. A man can lose all of his resources and things like that. So I think people they take it seriously, but I think they're more concerned about uh, their finances. And like I said, there's struggle love and there's capitalism love. If you want to get married just for the bag, if that's what you're about, then
Mhm.
you're about. But also, a man got to protect his assets, and protect himself. That's why I got so many things out here with the red pill and men going their own way. Like we'll talk about another segment, but court system is not really going to really help a man. So I understand why some men choose not to get married. I understand why some women don't want struggle love. So I understand both sides. I don't.
Mhm. It's a legal risk now.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people, maybe the younger generation, there's so much going on in society where they make people feel like their way or the highway. And I think that they bring a lot of that to a marriage, when a marriage is supposed to be a union. You're supposed to bring all that together. Everybody knows that two people who are trying to be married are not raised by the same two parents. They don't have the same two parents. But so you're raised differently. This is when you bring what you know and what you have to the table. And you know what? You kind of feed off of one another. That's just like there's some things, that I grew up on, and there's a certain way that Mark grew up on. And but when we come together, we merge them. It doesn't mean that we have to raise our children the way Mark was, or they have to be raised the way I was. We have to come up with our own way to raise, and maybe we might borrow from some ways of mine and some ways of his. But in a marriage, you just kind of merge them together, and then you end up kind of creating your own method. And then that's what works. Because you can't say, oh, well, it's always been done this way, so this is the only way. No. Times, you know what? Signs of the time. Times are different. So the way we were raised is not the way, or the way we have seen our parents married, and how we've seen them in a relationship is not the same way that ours is going to work, because he saw a different relationship.
Mhm.
I saw a different relationship.
Mhm.
So therefore, we pull from that. We pull the strengths from the relationships that we both have grown up with. And then we take it, we either tweak it, or we make it better, or we subtract. I don't know if that's for everyone's experience. I don't know. It's different. That's how you make the relationship work, to say, oh, well, we'll just pull from Dorothy and Walter. Maybe we can pull a little bit from Daisy and Forrest. But wait a minute. If that doesn't work, wow, Mark, maybe you and I can come up with our own method. That's how you do that. You don't keep running back trying to pull someone else's experiences into yours,
Mhm.
because it may not work. It's not that it's wrong.
Mhm.
It's not right. It's different. And it was during a different time. Today, it's Mark and me. So we have to adjust accordingly. So, I guess.
So that brings up a question when I was listening. It kind of goes back to the question I asked Dad about compromise. So what if and you may have already experienced this in your marriage, when Dad has a way that he is really adamant about being right, and then you have your way and you're very adamant about being right. And I've been in relationships where I thought I knew I was right, and he knew he was right, and we just kept butting heads because I didn't want to yield to him and he didn't want to yield to me. How do you go about that and you may have never even experienced this, is just me assuming. How do you compromise, or how do you come to a solution when the two are not willing to yield to the other person's decision? Who ends up winning that? I don't know. I don't even like calling it a win or a battle, because I don't think we're not competing against each other. We're family. But how do you figure that out? Because I struggle with that. If I know I'm right and I don't want to agree to them, and then it usually defaults to the man because I'm the man, I'm right, let me be the man. Because I've had guys say, I'm the man, let me make that decision. And if I'm wrong, I'll handle the consequences of being wrong. But it's my way. So how do you handle that?
I don't really think we had too many of those. I hate to say I haven't really.
No,
No,
but
I
that's
haven't had.
good.
I mean, I'm quite sure I have, but I just. Can you think of any? I'm.
No, 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 no. I can't. However, if we ever should come to that turn in the road,
Mm,
I think this is just my opinion. I think we should probably assess the situation and we come together. That's that compromise. We
mhm,
come together and figure what if we did it, if we did it this way, what would the outcome possibly be? If we did it my way, what would the outcome possibly be? You got to look at the end result.
mhm,
Um, because while each one of you think your solution is correct,
mhm,
it might not be the right solution for that circumstance. So, you know me, I like to say, okay, let's look at a possible outcome. What could and let's look at both sides. You
mhm,
be honest. That's when honesty come in. Be honest. If you can see something good out of it, what can come good out of, I don't know, what Mark suggests? What could come good out of what I suggest? And if you're honest and you look at both the pros and the cons,
mhm,
then you can make a sensible answer. Come up with a sensible solution on how to do it because it might not be either mine or his. It might be another way.
mhm,
It might be a combination of both ways. Now that's just what I say. Um, but when you go in and you have a rock head and you just ooh, you're dead set on no, no, it's my way. I want to do it this way. And he said, no, I want to do it this way. You know, when you tied up in that type of argument or disagreement, I should say, what you're trying to achieve won't get done, will it? Because you're spending all of your time talking about which way is the right way
mhm,
instead of coming up with a solution.
mhm,
Now, I mean, that's just how I would
mhm,
suggest that he and I would handle that. Um, you know,
mhm.
you know what? I can't think of something. I know one time that we weren't one on a decision, and that was allowing the children to work while they were in
Oh
high
yeah, I
school.
want to bring that. I want to bring that up.
Thank you,
So,
Dad. And because of that, I know how to count my money.
yeah, basic math. Yeah, yeah, basic math.
Because I still calculate my paycheck to this day.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And you still did good in school and
Yeah.
you graduated.
Mm,
Because I said that I thought that if you worked too soon, it took away from study time. So that's when he and I were just like, well, no, they can work. They can work. I worked at Wendy's and I
Making 3.35 an hour.
3.35 an hour.
Yeah.
Because we get that story all the time.
Oh,
And
Yeah,
I'm
you
just
do.
like, well, I did was well, see, that's just it. His parents allowed him to work while he was in school. My parents did not. So I was thinking, no, you're not supposed to work when you're in school. You have to pay attention to school and you have to concentrate on your studies.
mm,
He was just like, no, you got to work because that makes you responsible and then you can pay for your own stuff.
mhm.
Um,
Now, having heard that, don't you think we're both right?
Yeah, there was a
Yeah,
compromise there because we
yeah,
got to
it was
work
a
our
compromise.
junior and senior year of high school, but not.
That was the compromise.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Mark, no, I don't want them working when they just got into high school in the ninth grade because they have to concentrate on and they have to
Mm.
get themselves um
acclimated.
yeah, here you go.
SAT work.
Get yourself acclimated to going to high school because that was a different era
Mhm,
of in the whole different schooling. So
mhm,
what we did was, okay,
mhm,
we're gonna let them volunteer. That's when you all started to volunteer.
mm,
And I said, he was like, well, yeah, that's nice and everything else. It's like, yeah, well, volunteering is going to help them for school later. I said, I'm not looking at today. I'm looking at tomorrow.
Mhm.
He says, yeah, but they need money today. I said, okay, well, when they become juniors in high school, then they can work. And then that's when you went to the movie theater.
And we can only work on the weekends or during like
Yeah.
breaks. Mhm.
Yeah, so we compromised and it worked. It was part of what he, it was part of what he believed in and what he wanted, and it was part of what I believed in and what I wanted. So yeah, there you go. That was a perfect example.
I have another example of when y'all weren't on one page,
Uh-oh.
and that's when we wanted a trampoline.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
And mom ended up winning because we did not get a trampoline.
Oh,
well, your father is a kid at heart. So he did want that.
And we were
trampoline.
this close. Taylor and I were this close. We were like, Mom said to ask you. And you were like, well, I got to talk to your mother about it. And I was like,
you guys always try to trick me.
we knew which parent to go to
Yeah,
for what different things.
I
If I wanted new school clothes, it was mom. Mom, I need new shoes. But when it came to fun stuff,
Yeah, I know y'all go to your dad.
we went to dad. But dad caught on. Dad caught on very quickly.
Yeah, I did.
It was like, I go ask your mother. And then
Ask your mother.
we didn't even waste our time. We were like, nah, mom gonna say no anyway. Yeah, so
he wanted that trampoline too.
I wanted that trampoline so
wanted
bad.
that
I still want
jump up
one.
and down.
And bust his spine.
And that's what you would have been doing. I wouldn't have had to been just healing all kinds of wounds with the kids, with you. Everybody got a broke leg, arm, crooks in your neck.
There's something else. I mean, that I had to learn is that it was hard financially working two jobs, and I was pressured to, she can go, but your mom, don't go back to work, don't go back to work. But if we were both working, who knew what would have happened with her not being home? Who knew how Victoria would turn out? You would turn out with not having a mom at home. So
We'd be in these streets.
well, yeah. So I had to come to terms and accept that and have a compromise because who knows how life would have turned out. So that was compromise that I had to make. But you guys turned out to be good people so far. So it was a compromise.
I would agree with that. That brings up a good point. I know I talked to mom about this before, but I want to get your take on it. And that's sacrifice and compromise. I know, and I don't like saying his name, so I'm not going to say it, but there's this guy that has his own podcast and he talks about how men sacrifice more for marriage and therefore women should be the submissive feminine people. But when I was talking to mom, I was identifying some of the things that women sacrifice that may be overlooked by some men. And that is taking time away from work to raise the children. A lot of times women go years out of the workforce and then to raise the kids. And then when it's time to go back, or when the kids are finally old enough in their school age, it's time for the woman to kind of go back to work, or she may want to go back to work and she may have this 5 to 10 year gap of being out of the workforce. And now it becomes difficult for her to get back into the workforce because there's this huge gap. And when employers are looking at that, they see that they like that these women are 10 years out of the workforce, and a lot of things change in the industry, in all industries. And so I think sometimes men forget that women put their desires on the back burner to raise up the children, and the women didn't get these kids on their own, And I know that men may be providing financially for the family, but I also don't want to forget that a lot of women have degrees, or they have their expertise in their areas, and then they're the ones that have to step back and raise the kids. So how do you feel about, do you think sacrifices are equal among men and women?
Take that one.
I think, I'll continue to speak from a woman's point of view. I'll let Mark handle the men's sacrifice. Women do. And I'll have to say that society plays a large role in that.
Mhm.
I can speak for myself. When I got pregnant with you, no, 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 no. Before I got pregnant with you, I was afraid to have a child because of my job. And I thought, oh God, this is going to be messed up. I said, if I have a kid, what is this going to do for, at my job? You know, how's this going to affect me? And I said, but I really want children. I've always wanted children. And when I got pregnant with you, I decided, you know what? Forget it. This is me. I want a child. I, either they'll value me or they won't. Either I can keep my job or I won't go back to work. I don't know. And I had this conversation with Mark, and I said, well, I don't know, and about that, because even Mark to this day will say, oh, Dawn, I remember when you were trying to decide whether you wanted to start your family or not. I said, yeah, I did. I said, I really hate that I was put in that position. I really hate, when I look back, I hate that I allowed that was something that I even had to think about,
Mhm.
that I was even contemplating, that it was even a thought. So, and then I was angry. Then sometimes I become disappointed with myself. I said, how on earth did I allow them to, that's them making a choice for me. But I'm glad I'm glad I didn't fall victim to that. So I had my family anyway. But I do think that women sacrifice a lot because they are the ones who come home. They are the ones who help raise the children. They are the ones that has to take care of the household business.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that it was wrong. I'm not saying that I disliked it at all.
Right.
I mean, because after all, I live here too.
Mhm.
So we got to take care of where we live. We got to take care of how we live, and the one that goes grocery shopping, the one that, does the laundry and that sort of thing. So there is a sacrifice.
Mhm.
And, but the real question is, do you accept the sacrifice? Or do you even call it a sacrifice?
Mhm.
Because to me, at some point, it's not a sacrifice because it's something that I want to do for my family.
Mhm.
So that goes without a notion, without having any thought about it,
Mhm.
because I know that I want to be good to Mark. I mean, if Mark gonna go out there and work, he deserves to come home and have a home cooked meal. It's not a job. I know it's not a job for me to want to do good for my family. Um, but yeah, if you want to look at it as a sacrifice, then yes, because I my career in my job, because after all, it was my job is why I moved uh to Ohio in the first place.
Mhm.
And it was Mark who decided to follow. So yeah, I was the one who, got things started and got things moving and grooving in the beginning, but he maintained it.
Mhm.
So I guess it's a sacrifice on both sides. And that's when you can appreciate your partner because you share. You share the responsibility. You share the sacrifice. And I think we've done a pretty good job with that.
Yeah,
I
we
think
have.
we have.
Yeah.
Mhm.
From a men's point of view, I guess we're always raised to be traditional men. We're raised to be providers and protectors, and we don't. It's not saying be a male chauvinist. We just don't want our wives to work, as some of us don't want that.
Mhm.
And so I want her to still have her dreams of writing books, what she wants to do with child's book. I think she has a lot of things to talk about being a parent of a child with disability, special needs, and you respect each other's dreams and wishes. And
Mhm.
there are things that she put off because she wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and help teach you guys. So, like I said, like I told you, I don't think it's a sacrifice for me to work two jobs to see where you guys are at. So I never, like I told you, I enjoyed Christmas, getting your bikes or whatever, or the Mongoose scooters or whatever. Or the video now. See, I can go about all kind of stuff that we did
Wow,
because
you
I
can go way
really,
back.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
watched.
forgot all about
I
those
enjoy
video
watching
nails.
Nickelodeon with you, Cow and Chicken, and Eddie, and Courage the Cowardly Dog. I really enjoyed that. And like Mother said, I'm a kid at heart too, and going to movies. So I never look at it as a sacrifice. It would have helped having extra income, but y'all turned out all right. So, 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 I'm okay. So I don't think it was. If she wants to go back to work, she can, or. But like I said, everyone's circumstances are different. So
But bring up to that point, and you just mentioned it, when you're out of the workforce for a long time, it's very difficult to jump back in
Mhm.
because things have changed. They're looking for fresher meat,
Mhm.
um, and they're looking for new ideas. And I would be going back in knowing what I knew
in
back.
'93.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's also age discrimination with her.
Oh,
With us,
absolutely.
with us being older, I know that Chris is always saying, "Dad, why don't you just quit?" I said, "Christopher, I'm 53 and I can't go back into the work." That's nothing matter with it. I just know that I'm gonna have to ride this out. so,
Yeah.
so
Mhm. Yeah, that is another topic too, age discrimination, because we do
yes, it
see
is.
that.
What we doing?
Yeah,
I would say, I just joined the
yeah,
Glasses Club. So
yeah.
that actually is a great segue into the next question, because this is something that's really important to me. And how do you not lose your identity when you become married? Because I know you mentioned mom wanting to write and things like that. So I know that we are all our own individuals before marriage, and we have our own dreams and desires and things that we really want to accomplish. But then when we get married, we have to blend these goals, or sometimes our goals or our identity kind of blurs in with one another. But how do you keep your individual selves while also being respectful to the marriage?
Okay. Well, I talked about before about acceptance, and I just love the person that she's come from 26 to the day she is now. I don't know what age, but she is now, and so I just accept her individuality. I don't ever want her to stop being her. Like your mother said, I don't want to say happy life, but I want her to be her own individual. If that means she has fun joking with her siblings and having that mother daughter friendship, it doesn't bother me because I'm secure enough in my manhood that it doesn't bother me. If she wants to go to the casino and play her slot machines, it's fine, or individual her style individuality, I'm okay with it because I just want her to be her. I would like for her to be happy. It's not my responsibility to make her happy, but but whatever gives her peace,
Mm.
and she lets me be me. Like you said, if Mark want to watch the Dallas Cowboys or Michigan Wolverines, she just, she does it because she wants to do it.
Our
And
team won yesterday, by the way.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So good. So I was just so she lets me be me. She says, she'll tell her, sometimes your grandmother say, "Oh, I'm gonna go help Mark cut the grass." She says, "No, mother, he's in his prayer room. He's talking to God." And I'll be there mowing the lawn talking to myself. But she understands that that's my individuality. That's how I deal with things I got to deal with. Like, because I always say in other podcasts that some of the best decisions I made is when I'm talking by myself and I'm just cutting the grass. And that's my prayer room where I, do what I want to do. And your mother has her thing that she meditates by herself. So I let her have that individuality. Like she went to go to the Price is Right. That's something she always wanted to do, and I'm glad that she got a chance to go. And one year got her a makeover, so for her birthday. So I want her to have that individuality. So I don't want her to lose that.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool because when when you when a person lose their individuality, it's not the same person you marry.
Mhm.
Because when you marry, when you first got married and you first get to get with someone, you married them for them.
Mhm.
You like them then. You don't want them to change. And so, and when they change, then that's not who you married. Now it's something different when you grow. Now, if you're growing and you witness the growth as you become married, I mean, because after all, I mean, we're 28 years in. Uh, that's something to be proud of. That's something that you can embrace because you were there during the journey. You were there to see each other and you grow together. You grow together and they still haven't lost their identity. They just have become even better
Mhm.
because with growth comes grace. And that's a journey you want to have. And I like that Mark and I, we grew together and we're still growing. We're not done. We're still growing because we're still learning. So, but we're still doing it the way we were when we met each other. We didn't change. We're just better. So, yeah, I don't think we lost our identity.
That's
I'm,
good.
I'm a I'm a better person at 53 when I was 25. It's just, you know, life, grace, life will humble you. And there are certain things I've come to accept
Mhm.
with my children and life, and it's just, for more grace, come more grace. And I'm a better person now than I was at 25. You got to change, you got to grow with it. And so, I accept the changes and I accept what's coming. So, it's a very wonderful thing to live a life with mostly no regrets. There's certain things that we can't change. I always tell Don, we can't change the circumstance that we were born in, our parents. But just because your other people made mistakes, that doesn't mean that you have to make those. Just because your parents were divorced or because your parent had addiction doesn't mean that you have to have it.
Mhm.
So don't we always say the don't fall for the self-fulfilling prophecy. And these are conversations that we had when we were like 25 and 26 just dating. And this is, like I said, marriage works for us, but it also may not work for everybody. But with all the pandemic and all these dating sites and things, I understand it. Like I say, we always say that our first podcast, we don't judge. So
Mhm.
that's what I've learned. That society is not the same what it was in 1987. So
It's not.
I understand
Hmm. Well, to that gray, I found another piece of gray
that. You
hair
did.
in my
You
head
did.
this morning. It's really sad. But
I'm
like
gonna
you
look it
said, with
up.
more gray comes more grace. So I'm not pulling them out. I'm keeping my gray hair. So yeah, I think Zoe mentioned my gray hair in California. She's like, look, and I was like, yeah, I know. Okay. So that's actually this is so great. Everything just flowing into the next question. What are some conversations that you should have before getting married? Like these would probably be like what religion you're going to raise your kids in, or what are some conversations that you had with mom, or conversations that you think would be helpful for people looking to get married?
Uh, First of all, I mean, your job situation. What are your goals in that job? Do you want to have children? If that's something you want to do, uh, what kind of person you're marrying? Because there's some people that are savers, and there's some people that are spenders. So you have to talk about finance. I understand that love is love, but also let's be real. We need money to live. So to find out what kind of person that is, a saver. Does 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 she want to be a stay-at-home mom, or do you want to be the breadwinner, or do you both? There are so many those questions of saving money. Um, that's one of those most important questions. I I was looking at their background and their families. Like I said, Protestant, Catholic. And, some people can be Muslim and some people can be atheists, and they work just fine. So the family backgrounds are very important. You talk about marriage, things like that. Money, family, and finances, two F's. So
Okay, so the two F's for you,
yeah,
family and finance.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very important to find out. Hey, it's, I know that people always say, I'm not marrying your parents, I'm marrying you.
Mhm.
Okay, you need to know where you come from.
Yes.
Mhm.
You need to go dig back a little bit. Um, I met Mark's parents and I met his siblings and everything, and I got to know them. So I knowing your parents and knowing your family and knowing your other ancestors says a lot about you, because the leaf doesn't fall far from the tree. So I know what I'm getting into when I know where you come from.
Mhm.
Now, that might be old school, but it's tried and true. It's tried and true. Um, and I found out what his relationship was with his parents, and it was a good one.
Mhm.
I found out what his relationship was um, with his other family members. Those things are helpful. And just like he got a chance to meet, you know, my mom and dad and my siblings
And
and
both
other
and both
family
and both
members.
your grandmothers.
Yes, both of my grandmothers. Um, so I think those are important conversations. You need to know, "Oh, yeah, how are you with your mom and dad?" You don't want somebody to say, "Oh, I hate my mother and my father."
Mhm.
So you hate the people that's responsible for you being in the world. Is there something, I mean, like what? Is it because they said no to you about something?
Mhm.
Because we all know that no's are very necessary
Mhm.
in raising children. Uh, but I mean, that's another topic. But my point is, that's the conversations that we had. You know, if the conversation turns where only thing he wants to talk about is the wiki bong bong every time you talk to him, and you can never stay on topic, like, I don't know, talking about current events, for example. If you can't stay on topic, you might not, because the only thing that's going to
Uh-oh,
tell
you're
you.
laughing at something.
I'm
Must
reflecting
be
on
me
old
now. Saying,
relationships, and I'm like, oh yeah, they can keep a conversation, but yes.
Yeah, I know, but that's so important, because if you can't stay on topic and you can't engage in an intelligent conversation, then you know that as the years go on, those conversations are going to get further and further apart.
Mhm.
Nothing is going to be um, it won't be meaningful, because you're not going to be interested.
Mhm.
You will not be interested. At least try to have something in common.
Mhm.
Have a common goal. I'm not saying you got to reach your goals the same exact way. You can reach the same goal with all kinds of methods. Like my grandmother used to always tell me, there's more than one way to cuss a cat, which means as long as you both want to see the end result,
Mhm.
does it really matter how you get there as long as you get there? For example, I know this is a little bit off, but it is somewhat related. When you all were going to school, and you know, okay, let's use math for example. If 3 plus 2 is 5, and we all know it is, how you get to 5 does not matter to me as long as you understand how you got to 5.
Mhm.
I used to have to go to the schools and tell your teacher, don't mark my kid wrong if they have the right answer.
Mhm.
Because at home, I teach them the way that they understand how they arrive at the answer. I only want understanding. Please don't mark them wrong, because I will fight it.
Oh, I remember.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I stayed at that school,
especially with Chris, because Chris was so good at math. He would figure it out.
Yes, he was excellent at math, and he came up with an answer, but he did not use the method that was taught. It doesn't matter. He used a method that he understood how to arrive at the answer. So, even though that was off on another tangent, when you are, it doesn't, I guess the bottom line is, it doesn't matter when you set a goal and you have two people in a relationship. They don't have to be exact, but it's good for them to be similar. So, yeah.
As a man, I can accept that there's certain things I'm not good at, like, well, the traditional roles. Like when it came time to do the financial aid and the FAFSA, because your mother has been through this before, as well known, if I provide the income, but you do the FAFSA to see what's going on. That doesn't make me less of a person because I don't do that. I said, well, okay, I'll make the money, but you do the financial aid stuff and deal with Fisk or Columbus State or Kentucky State or going out something with your business right now. That doesn't make me less of a person. That just said, well, okay, she's better than that than me, and she doesn't put me down because I'm not.
I love that, knowing your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. So, but she doesn't go to her mother. Oh, Mark's so stupid. He don't know how to do a FAFSA. So, I don't go to my family. Oh, don't work. No, like I said, I was going to tangent about the other conversation, but I don't. What works in our home may not work in somebody. So, like I told you before, I'm happy to be married and have very little regret. So, hope we didn't get off topic, but go ahead, Courtney.
Yeah. It's all related. It's all related. Yeah. I know listening to that reminded me of when you helped move up my couch and my table in the apartment. But when it came to putting it together, you were like, well, I brought it up 3 flights of stairs.
Yeah. I ain't doing no IKEA stuff. I'll turn in the bolts and everything, but I ain't.
Thank you. The table is still sturdy. It is still up. Understanding your strengths and weaknesses. And I love that because I know when I am not strong in certain areas, I know that I'm going to yield to, and not just even relationships, like just in work or in collaborations with other companies that I work with. If that's not my area of expertise, I'm quick to say that that's not my area. And I'm happy to let people know that I don't know anything about that. I don't find it embarrassing. I don't find it making me less than a person because I don't know how to do something. We're not meant to know how to do everything. We could be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. I'm okay with being a master of a few things. And that's why it's the beauty of this world is that everyone is good at something, so that we can all come together. It makes us work together because we all don't have the same skills. So I know that if something breaks in the house, I know I can call somebody to fix my light or something like that. Like I'm not an electrician. So, it's just, and that works in a relationship. And if I ever have kids, I don't know if I will, but I know that when it comes time to doing homework, I am not the math and science person. Go ask your father because we both gonna fail this class. But if you want me to help you with your essay and history, that is who I am. You can come talk to me about that. So I love that answer. I think it's understanding your strengths and weaknesses and understanding what you bring to the table in a relationship. I have a few more questions, and then I'm going to leave it to closing remarks on whatever you want to share with everyone else. But how do you keep marriage fun? I see a lot of people like they've been married for 10 years and they just seem so bored in their marriage. But I could be wrong. This is just what I see. Or I've even had people who've been married and say that the spark is not there. So how do you guys keep your marriage fun?
Were you ready to say something?
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, well, one.
this family oriented, right?
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Please, for the sake of my ears.
No, oh gosh. No.
Go ahead, Dawn.
we
Go ahead.
we keep it exciting because we do fun things. We do things like we, for instance, we'll go out with, well, before COVID, we would go out to the movies a lot. We enjoyed that. We look forward to it. We would talk about the movie before we go, and then we talk about it afterwards. And then we go out to eat,
Mhm.
and we sit, and when we're at the dinner table, we have conversation. Of course, we'll go to the casino,
Oh yeah.
and and then we have our own little inside jokes about that, of
Mhm.
and then we oh we go outside and we do the lawn together. Like, he'll cut the lawn.
Mm.
While he's doing that, I'm tending to the flowers, and that sort of thing. So we have activities together. We love the comedy club.
Mhm.
We'll go to the comedy club together because we love to laugh.
Mm.
And even afterwards, your comedian father
Mhm.
likes to cut jokes even at home, and he's not on anybody's stage. But anyway, that's how we keep things live with us. And we what else do we do? Oh, we watch we oh we used to have a program that we watch together. It's ours. And he'll say, "Hey, Dawn, oh, our show is on. It's coming on in like 5 minutes." And I'm like, "But let me get the snacks together. Okay, I'm coming." And we have that. That's what we have. That's ours.
Mm.
Um, and I like that. Of course, I can like when the Sopranos was
Mm.
on. That was fun. That was our show together. And then we just recently started doing the Mass Singer,
The Masked Singer, yeah.
and we try to figure out who the singer is together.
Dang, I watched that.
Well, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
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 we do, we
yeah.
do. We try to figure out who it is. It's the guessing game for us.
Well,
You know.
the same day when y'all were little, we watched American Idol, and
That was
so,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know Steve Harvey. I know everybody had their things about him, but he has things he says that go on a date night with your wife and don't talk about the kids or the mortgage. Or don't
Okay.
talk about. I believe that.
Yeah, he does. He always says,
There's a few
"All right,
good things
Don, we're
that come
going
out of
out to
it.
eat.
Yeah.
Don't mention the kids." I was
Don't
like,
mention the pig notice.
Yeah.
"Now, see, that's something we don't have."
Yeah, yeah. And so we watch this O'Shea, Duke Jackson, and Roland. I know you don't
I like
Roland
these
Martin.
people. Yeah. I
Yeah,
like Roland Martin.
Roland Martin, and I know this guy named Coach Greg Adams. We listen to this thing called the Pink Lesson Book,
Mm.
and we look at everything from both sides, and we enjoy it. We used to watch Rachel Meadows on television and 12th Hour Brian. It's amazing. As we get older, we just look at certain things that are just
Mm.
find
Yeah,
interesting to
old
us.
folks stuff.
Yeah. So
No, I think a show is really important. I know when I was dating this person, Orange is the New Black
yeah.
was our show. He cheated on me a few times and watched the next episode before me, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
That'll end a relationship real quick if you watch the next episode without them.
Yep.
Mom, did you quit me? Because I don't know.
And
I've
we're not in a
watched.
relationship, Mom, but you always finishing a show that I put you on
Uh-oh.
all the
Uh-oh.
time. I
Uh-oh.
put you on to Money Heist and then finish the season before I did.
Oh, that was so good.
Mhm.
But
It be your
anyway.
own mother sometimes. It
Yeah,
really
oh
is
yeah.
your own mother sometimes.
But no, that's how we keep things spicy. We do things together. It's not him running out with the fellas and I'm gonna go and grab beer. I'm gonna hang out with the fellas and we go to shoot the bull. And it's not me. Oh no, we having girls' night out. And then I mean those things are important. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
because we do need to still do our things. You know, some things separately. But for the most, we are always together. We do things together. So yeah.
Another thing about relationships is that I'll call them the double D's. Daisy and Dawn. I also have my own version of double D's, which is Denise and your grandmother Dorothy. I understand the dynamics. Same with you and your mom. You have a mother-daughter friendship, and I accept that. That's not a slight on me. I understand that there's certain things remember when your mother's misdiagnosed with having a tumor and was multiple sclerosis, I was like, yeah, I can do it, but I don't understand. Yeah, I know what women go through, but I'm not a woman. I don't have estrogen. I'll never feel that. That's why it's so important to have a mom and father there because I know I'm your father. I'm the first man you look up to, but there's certain things I can't relate to. Not that I'm not that I don't care, but there's some things that a mother's love I can't that relationship that bond. So I don't get mad when she has a sister time, my mother daughter friendship. But as long as that friendship doesn't interfere with me as a man, I'm cool. So that's basically just to have her individuality on that.
Okay. And this is my last question, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. And it would be great to hear both sides to this question. And the question is, do you think men are intimidated by successful women? And I know we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but that is the question.
Only if it's belittling. Only if you put him down and say he's worthless and I don't need him. I can do bad by myself. Everybody brings something to the table to a relationship. If you're if you're making $175,000 and your man is making $100,000, you're still doing good.
Mhm.
But it's also about how you belittle him. And I think that don't be like I was telling you before. Just because you got make more money than he does, you got all these student loan debt. That doesn't make you better than him. Just because your degree or or your success is an accomplishment, a personal accomplishment. But I didn't marry your mother because she went to Spelman or Howard. I married her because of her. But as long as I understand that struggle love or you can do bad by yourself, but don't belittle someone because they make less money than you. And if that, like I said, if that person is happy and stays in life, then maybe you need to just go to somebody else. Because a person has a right to stay in their own place if they want to. I'm not intimidated by it, but as long as you just don't put me down. If you're going for the bag, then
Okay. Well, this was a good segment. I think I learned a lot about the mistakes I've made too, and then just learn how to navigate through different stages of relationships. So when you're getting ready to date or when you're in the middle of dating someone, um, I do want to say, just because I was just thinking about our viewers and the types of people that we have viewing, I do want to say that if you know marriage is not for you, that doesn't make you less than a person, less than a woman, less than a man. Marriage should not define you. If you want to get married, then, I am very supportive of that. But if you find that marriage is not for you, I also understand that. And I also want to talk about and acknowledge the women that don't want kids. That does not make you, not a woman. I don't think children define women. Because I know for myself, I don't want kids. And I know I get a lot of people saying, oh, well, who's going to marry you and who's going to build a life with you if you don't want to give them kids? And I've met many men that don't want kids. So I know it's out there. And I know a lot of my professors, actually two of my favorite professors at Fisk don't have kids, and they didn't want kids, and that was their choice, not because they couldn't have kids, but they just didn't want to have kids. So I do want to acknowledge that and let people know and let our listeners know that it is okay to not want to be married or not want to have kids, because you're not the only one out there. I'm out here. So those are something that I wanted to say. Dad or mom, is there anything that you want to leave the viewers with?
Just stay true to yourself. Embrace the any relationship that you value. Um, and make sure that the relationship that you're in is good for you and good for your partner. Um, it's not all bad. It really isn't. It can be one of the most rewarding and fun aspect of your life is to be with someone that you really and truly care about. But make sure that you truly care about them and that they care about you. Physical attraction is easy. That's something that a lot of us do. Uh, we always have that physical attraction. Oh, she looks good, or oh, he is a handsome man. That's nice. That's wonderful. Let that be the bonus, but be good on the inside as well as you look on the outside, because that's what matters. That's what gets and keeps a relationship. And that's my take.
What I like to tell anybody, whether married or not, you know what? If you don't have a test, you don't have a testimony. You got to go through something, because there, as a married man, there are things I found strength in being married that I never thought I would have. So embrace the test, embrace it. That's all I tell anybody. Like I said, you know, marriage works for me, and it may not work for everybody. Just realize, like you were saying, Courtney, that a marriage does not define who you are. And if you do get married, don't let other people's expectations be yours, because
Mhm.
that's your marriage, and that is sacred for you. You don't supposed to tell everybody what goes on in your house. At that point, it ain't sacred.
Mhm.
That's what I like to tell our listeners.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you, Dad. And thank you to our special guest. And that concludes our third episode. And we will see you all next time.